Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Nirvana the band, the show, the movie. All right, Jay, I got a plan. Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin. And if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. And welcome to our first spoiler-free review for the Toronto International Film Festival. This is the first film that we are seeing, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Huge thanks to our friends at Elevation Pictures for inviting us out to an early screening of this movie ahead of the festival. The film will be screening at the Midnight Madness on September 4th as one of the first nights of the Midnight Madness. But we are super stoked to be sharing our thoughts on this film, and I can't do it alone. I am joined by my two counterparts that are a bit of a J, a bit of a Matt, if you will. If you're familiar with the show, Darcy Hudson, Nate Shelton. How you both doing?
Doing good.
Doing good, man. I'm ready for this plan to spring into action and for it to go horribly wrong.
For sure. Yeah. And we're going to catch up. We're going to catch our listeners up to speed on what this show is in case it's something that you're not aware of. Maybe you are aware of, you're a huge fan of, and we'll kind of share our thoughts on where we're at in that totem pole of experience with Nirvana, the band, the show. Let's get right into it. I don't want to kind of waste any time. I'd love to get into giving you guys a synopsis, and then we'll circle back with finding out more about your initial reactions and sort of where you how you were introduced to this show. They were never in time to book a gig at the Rivoli. Then one day they weren't in their time at all. From Matt Johnson, director of Blackberry, and Jay McCarroll's cult comedy series comes an adventure 17 years in the making. Now, for the uninitiated, Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll's Nirvana the band, the show, was a cult web series where its two creators portrayed hyperactive, hap-witted versions of themselves as a musical duo desperately failing to book a gig at the storied Toronto venue, the Rivoli. Their hilarious misadventures continued a decade later across 2 seasons of a Spike Jonze-produced television series, which I didn't know Spike Jonze produced this thing. And both iterations brilliantly blended Matt and Jay's fictional exploits with hysterically incredible real-world public interactions. Every episode further contained a potpourri of irreverent pop culture references and nebulous copyright violations, but always culminated in a sweet-hearted expression of friendship and creative perseverance. Now, in a critically acclaimed major motion picture that harmonizes with the series, but stands alone, Nirvana the band are older, but none the wiser. When Matt presses Jay to partake in one of their most death-defying publicity stunts yet, it goes spectacularly sideways, and the fallout inspires Jay to strike out on his own. But thanks to Matt's inadvertent intervention with a short-lived Canadian novelty beverage, the boys are pulled into a misadventure that threatens to unravel more than just their latest scheme. Utilizing meticulous visual effects, costuming, and the judicious integration of archival footage to recreate Toronto's not-so-distant past, Johnson and his collaborators polish a satirically sobering and righteously funny cultural mirror that reflects just how much and how little things have changed, all the while celebrating the infectious joy of living for your dream with a little help from your friend. Now, that comes from Peter Kolpowski, who wrote this lovely little synopsis on the TIFF website. So thank you for that. As mentioned, this movie is going to be screening at the TIFF festival on September 4th for the Midnight Madness. And it stars, as I mentioned, Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrol. Let's get into talking about this movie. As I mentioned, I would love to start off by getting your initial reactions, as well as kind of finding out how you were introduced to the show. Were you familiar with it going into this movie? Darcy, we'll start with you.
I mean, I absolutely love the movie. I first was introduced back when it was the web series, and I at first I thought that was all I had watched, but in preparation for this screening, I decided to go back and watch the first season, and I had already watched that back on Vice Canada when we had that channel as a thing apparently. But yeah, I've always loved this stuff, and again, watching season 2 leading into this, I was so excited to see where they take it, because I after Blackberry and that docu style, the way they refined it there, I was looking forward to how they would maybe apply that to the Matt and Jay series now. And it is the show elevated to its best and peak performance. And I'm so excited for people to see it, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Nate, how about for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because before I started watching the first season in preparation for this film, for this movie, I was telling Darcy, like, I kind of really miss Flight of the Conchords, and this is filling that Flight of the Conchords hole. Rather, now keep in mind that they are Nirvana the band, and in Nirvana the band, the show, they are very much a band trying to get a gig at the Rivoli, but I love how much more this show and parts, elements of this movie focus on film and television and other, sides of pop culture. It is one of those things that watching it, I'm laughing my head off, and you're always trying to pick out, okay, what's real, what's not. Is that Cineplex manager a real person? Is that Mandarin employee a real person? That sort of thing. But it's so great to get to see the city of Toronto featured just wholeheartedly, and so just it's just so nice to watch this show and this movie in Toronto, and in preparation for the festival. So yeah, dude, I absolutely love this movie, and I'm continuing to love the show. I'm getting into season 2 now, and I think this movie will get anyone who hasn't seen the show to go back and check it out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, I loved this film. I think it was absurdly hilarious. It really just put Toronto on full display in its best and sometimes maybe its weirdest ways possible, just like the show did. I'll admit, I was never fully immersed in Nirvana the band, the show back in the day, though I knew about it constantly through friends at university. They were big Vice fans. They were all big into like the web series stuff, and when it got announced that it was getting its own show, they were super hyped about it, especially because I think that kind of happened when Vice sort of became its own channel in a lot of ways. So they needed content, so they definitely turned to Matt. But that said, like I've caught snippets of some of the most iconic moments, like the We Shop song and the Adventures in the ROM, which is like absolutely hilarious because I think they actually got like banned from the ROM after that whole episode. And I always found it just really hilarious. Like you mentioned Flight of the Concords. This felt very Kenny versus Spenny to a certain degree, with that sort of mockumentary style, approach to shooting. But yes, Nate, I totally agree. The show just brings in so many different pop culture references outside of just this idea of music that make it really stand out as just being really nostalgic in a lot of ways. But yeah, I never really dove into it until now, like you were mentioning. Having watched some of the web series and a few episodes of season 1, I can confidently say that if you're a fan of this show, this movie will not disappoint. It captures everything that made Nirvana the band such a cult favorite. I think the sharp improvisation, the absurd schemes, the self-aware humor, everything is just it is there, and most importantly, it's the celebration of Toronto itself that feels really on display as well, that I absolutely love. And I think if you're a longtime fan, this is a homecoming for you. If you're a newcomer, this is perfect invitation to just learn more about this dynamic duo. And we actually, before we went into the screening, I ran into a couple people that we know, and they were talking that they had never heard of Nirvana the band, the show. But obviously there was a lot of hype around this movie because of Matt Johnson, and they came and saw it and they loved it. So now they're going back and watching the show. So I think that's a huge testament to what this film can do. If you're a fan of the original, or if you're unaware of it. So that's really great. So yeah, I think that we can now confidently start talking about this dynamic duo who drive this film, who really are the they are the center point, and their bond is everything. Matt Johnson, Jay McCarrol, their performances. Nate, let's start with you. What did you think about the performances in this film?
I wrote down two words that really I feel encapsulate their performances and just their whole energy in the show and in this movie, but it's dumb excitement. And there's so much to what they do where you're just looking at them interacting, and there's so much either in their facial expression or in their blank facial expression that just sort of gives you an immediate understanding of these characters. And I think they're it's crazy how believable and unbelievable they are at the same time throughout this movie. And I think it's one of those things, it's just like you're watching it, and it just shows like how brilliant they actually are. Because I think a lot of people would look at these characters or look at some of the, just if you had the plot points for this movie just on paper, you'd be like, that sounds absolutely ridiculous and stupid. You'll still want to go see it, I'm sure, but it's actually just so incredibly brilliant, and I can't wait to see these performances again, having already seen it, or even coming off of season 2. I'm excited to see what it's like again, just to see if I catch anything different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to show how like what good friends these guys are, because they are just playing versions of themselves exaggerated. So it's almost like they're just stepping back to when they were teens, getting excited talking about movies or going to a show or something like that. And just the fact that you've got the zany, like overexcited, hyperactive Matt giving the ideas to just the calm and chill yes man in Jay is just, it's the greatest pairing ever. And like you said, the dumb excitement again really sums it up, because it
Mm-hmm.
is so stupid that you're like, no one would ever do this. But when they do it and are acting and just interacting with people on the street in character, you're like, they are so good. This is real. Someone would actually do this. It's just a beautiful way of telling a story, and the way that they clearly adapt to reactions on the street to tell the story or shift the story going forward is just, again, a testament to how well they know themselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I, again, not having seen everything from this show, I think what stood out to me immediately, especially watching episodes leading into this screening, is how Matt and Jay are the exact same. Like, even though it's been 17 years since the show, they haven't lost a beat. The chemistry, the timing, the rhythm, they're back and forth. It's all there. Right? It never left. And I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen every single episode, but it's clear that they've preserved the essence of what made them so unique in the first place, like their dynamic, like you guys were saying, like the high energy of Matt versus the yes man energy of Jay. And it honestly feels like no time has passed in any way, which makes this return feel both nostalgic and fresh, given the fact that we are in 2025. And their enduring friendship is the foundation on which the all of this absurdity rests on in a lot of ways. And it's a joy to see them just kind of slip so effortlessly back into their dynamic. Like again, just having watched, like, I think I was like 3 episodes into season 1, and I came into this screening and I was just like, I could not tell the difference. There hasn't been like anything that has changed in their dynamic, and I think that that's good for both the fans of the show who are going into this wanting to see Matt and Jay, and those who will be doing the reverse and going to the show and just being like, oh, they were always like this. You know what I mean? Like, they always have this energy. So I think that they nailed their bringing back their characters in the right way for this new film.
Well, and to your point, anyone who's seen the series knows how iconic the flashbacks are, and we do get flashbacks in this movie, and we even do get flashbacks to see younger versions of themselves. And I'm always impressed when actors can pull that off, and they just do it so seamlessly, so effortlessly. Seeing Matt Johnson with, I think he's got like some braces or Invisalign or something on, and just hearing how that affects his speech, but he's still very much him. It's just funny because, again, it's like, yes, so much time has passed. Yes, these characters have sort of changed, but like you said, like, they haven't really learned anything, and they still haven't gotten to play a gig at the Rivoli. So it's just been it's awesome to see them, and just how far they're able to stretch themselves in this movie, in so many different ways. It's not just all goofs and laughs. There are, believe it or not, some heartfelt moments in this movie as well, and they pull it off.
I mean, I've always loved. I'm a big fan of improv, long form improv, short form improv. I always find it very entertaining. And Ben Schwartz on College Humor did some great sketches with Jake and Amir that have the same energy as this show, where it's just when they can make each other laugh or break character, that's when you know they've struck gold. And it feels like it's very much the same energy with this, because even throughout the film, like in the show, that we saw them break character occasionally to address the audience, and when they do that occasionally in this film, they are very self-referential, but they do it in such a loving way. You feel like you're just witnessing two friends tell a story, and that's all that it is, and it's so fun.
Yeah, I think to your point, their friendship, their real friendship is on full display in this film. And I think that we get to see more than just the laughs and the sort of humor. We actually get to see more emotional depth
Hmm.
with them. And I think that that's what's really interesting. And maybe that's the movie. I use air quotes around it. That's the movie aspect of it, the foil or the drama, if you will, that is essential to the movie's narrative in a lot of ways. And I'd love to actually start talking about story if we can. I wanted to know, again, as Darcy, maybe we'll start with you. Given your experience with the show, what did you think of this story?
This story feels like the show just, again, getting that movie quality thrust upon it and just handling it so well. The moviefication of the show, which I was very interested to see how it would work. Would they go full on the way they did the show, or they would it get a bit more of a Hollywood treatment? And the fact that they just stay so genuine and true to form as they tell this story, which is very, again, off the cuff. I feel like a lot of plot points were decided after interacting with members of the Toronto public as they're doing some crazy
Sure.
stunt. Like, just the way they evolve stuff. They clearly had a roadmap in mind, but they were willing to take detours depending on what Toronto told them to do. And I think that was the coolest way again, that's what worked for the show, and it really works for this movie too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think in a lot of ways, this movie just takes the spirit of the series and kind of blows it up for the big
Hmm.
screen in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. It's wild, it's very self-aware, like you were saying, and it's just constantly blurring the lines between fiction and reality, which is something that I think is to be appreciated of this film.
Yeah, yeah, but you're also you're getting I mentioned earlier the movie and TV tropes that they would consistently sort of follow. It's both scaled back and blown up. Essentially, it's more focused, I think, this movie than a lot of
Yes,
the
yeah,
episodes. Where a lot of the
agreed.
episodes you're getting maybe 4 or 5 different references, whereas this one kind of you're definitely going to get some different references, but you're getting one big solid movie reference that is absolutely phenomenal. It follows all the tropes. I'm going to dance around it because I don't want to spoil it, and there are probably going to be spoilers out there by the time you hear this podcast. But no, I absolutely adored this story. I adored, like you said, Darcy, their ability to probably play off of moments in the movie that were very much improvised and from the city itself. And I loved, just sort of seeing a lot of the stuff that came over from the show, the over dramatic orchestral music, or just all the Canadianisms. Like, it was so special watching this in Toronto with a group of Toronto critics. But I think one of my favorite little very micro moments, and I know they do this in the show as well, but just catching again Matt Johnson hurriedly, really quickly running into the house, and then of course taking his shoes off, because that's what we do in Canada. And it's all those little things that sort of, as a Canadian, you see on a big screen and you get excited about, and
Sure,
you shouldn't, but you do.
for sure.
And there's just so many smiles and laughs in that theater.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of smiles, lots of laughs too, for sure. What I love too is, with this story at its heart, it's still about two friends whose bond, carries them through the absurdity and the chaos that would unfold. And I honestly think that, by now their antics also serve as a love letter to Toronto itself, right? Because the city is
Sorry,
on
Jess, let
full
me not have you say that again. To Toronto, you mean?
Toronto.
You mean
Yeah, hit that T
Toronto?
too hard.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Toronto? Oh, sorry.
Toronto. No, you got to drop
But
the second
but
T.
now their antics also serve as a love letter to Toronto
All right, we can
itself.
go with
There
that.
you
Yeah,
go, right?
perfect.
It's through clever reactions of the city's not so distant past, and the film becomes more ridiculous and reverent, and it's just celebrating so much, right? I think how little has really changed at the same time, while reminding us that, you know, Matt and Jay's friendship matters so much to the existence of this, to the existence of
Mhm.
everything. So I absolutely love that. Again, for that movie quality, they really went with this sort of buddy adventure, and really leaned into that, because it's all there. You know, when you look at the show and you see kind of the sort of absurdity of the schemes and the adventures that they would go on, it's sort of a, what's the adventure of the week kind of thing. And here it's like the ultimate adventure, and it really puts them on display and their friendship on display, which I really appreciate. I think that they knew what this movie had to do in a lot of ways to kind of remind people why you love Matt and Jay. Do you know what I mean? So I think
Mhm.
that it does that at its best.
And I like how you put that, Justin, the ultimate adventure, because
Mhm.
again, without spoiling anything, the only big thing I will say is Darcy, before as we were driving up, Justin, you were like watching one of the episodes in the back of the car, which was dope, and we heard you giggling the entire way through. But I said to Darcy, I was like, but you know what? Another thing I really like about the show so far is that they never do something that is going to be like out of the realm of reality. It is still very much within our realm of reality. This being a movie, it jumps out of the realm of reality. It breaks those walls,
They
and it's
jumped the
so
shark.
it's so welcomed. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I to your point, Nate, it's entirely welcomed. I think that
yeah.
absurdity, it's time for it, right? Like, you know, again, not having seen everything, but just understanding at least the antics of each episode, it just felt like this must have been the most logical solution for them to move this, to do a movie, to go
hmm
the distance with that. So I think that that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that, you know, that those are my thoughts on stories. You guys have anything else on the overall story? I know we are trying to really keep things. There are some surprises, like Nate was saying. There's a lot of surprises for that we really enjoyed, that we don't want to necessarily take away from you, the listener, when you go and see this movie, whether it be at TIFF or later. So we are kind of dancing around a couple elements, which, like you mentioned, Nate, might be spoiled by the time you've listened to this podcast, but that's okay. We're going to do our due diligence. Maybe you haven't been spoiled yet, and you should be surprised. So, you know, with all that said, I'd love to know your final thoughts and your score, which is going to be out of 1 to 5 bottles of Orbit. Darce, I'll start with you.
I mean, it's an easy 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, again, just being from Toronto, maybe that's a bit of a bias going for it, but just Matt and Jay, their friendship is infectious, and you're along for the ride within the first 5 or 10 minutes of this movie. You understand who they are, you understand where they've been, and you understand why they're doing what they're doing, and just the adventure that you go on in this movie is so much fun, and it is, yeah, it's a love letter to Toronto, it's a love letter to films, it's a love letter to everything that makes Matt and Jay so great. So yeah, easy 5 out of 5 bottles of Orbit for me.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm right there with you. Just before I go, is it Orbit or Orbits? I
It's
don't
Orbits. I thought Orbits, isn't it?
Orbits.
It's
I didn't say
Orbits?
the Z. It's
Okay,
Well,
with a
because
sorry. My
Z
there's a
apologies.
too.
bunch.
Like,
I imagine when I try to think of what are the orbits in the bottle, they're the little balls, right? Is that what the
yeah, they're
orbits
like
are?
Jello things, and I never liked it. I hate
It's
chunks
like
in my
bubble tea,
drink.
but like
So
micro bubble tea, right? Like I
yeah,
like
I,
bubble tea, but like it's like
there's a reason
soda.
it was discontinued, guys.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure. I'm right there with you, Darcy. As you said, love letter to Toronto. I think it is one of those things where if you've never seen the movie, go into this with an open, or sorry, if you've never seen the show, go into this with an open mind. They do a good enough job of catching you up to speed. They do a good enough job of getting you to the understanding of where they've come from, what they've done, and the whole movie kind of has an element of focus on where they've been and what they've done and what they want to do. And again, it's so their dumb excitement is so infectious, you'd be hard pressed not to fall in love with these two goofballs. And it makes me want more. It makes me want to watch the second season really, really bad. And I can't wait to dive into that, and then go back and watch the movie again. So I am absolutely giving this a solid 5 out of 5 bottles of Orbits. I'll even drink them if you really want me to. If you force me to, I'll drink them.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I feel like a lot of my sentiments are kind of surrounding around, you know, this is our first TIFF, and this is the first film we've seen for TIFF. So I got a bit of an elevated elevated experience, or elevated. My experience feels a lot more elevated because of those elements. But Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is a righteous good time. It's ridiculously funny. It is the cultural mirror that I appreciate. That doesn't just revisit the world of Matt and Jay, but it expands on it with something bigger and bolder. And I think it doesn't lose the silliness, but it raises the heart in a lot of ways. I think that's the big takeaway for me, at least. And if you're already a fan and it feels like it'll feel like for you that you're just picking up with old friends you haven't seen in years, I feel like. And that's very much how I felt just watching it. It's just like, again, going from like an episode right into this screening, it's like, this feels connected to that world. It doesn't feel like it's not. It's 2025 when this film is taking place. And you realize nothing has changed when you watch it. And if you're new to all of this madness, this is the perfect entry. It's hilarious. It's very self-aware. It's an unexpectedly touching story about friendship, dreams, and I think the city that has shaped them over the years is integral. So, whether you're going to see this at TIFF or you're catching it down the road when it releases to general audiences, this is one film you absolutely should not miss. And for that reason, I am going to be giving it as well a 5 out of 5 bottles of Orbits. Orbits? I said it right.
Orbits.
Awesome.
Yep.
Orbits.
Lightning in every bottle.
Lightning in
Essentially
every
lightning
bottle. Nice.
A bolt.
Yes. Lightning bolts. Is it lightning bolts?
A bolt
Or
of
is it
lightning in every
A
bottle.
bolt of lightning in every bottle.
Don't forget
Hopefully
it.
I got that quote right. So we'll see. Well, that is it for our spoiler-free review for Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
The movie.
I have to say it like that just so I don't screw it up. But this was like our first spoiler-free review for TIFF. We have a lot more coming. We haven't officially started the Toronto International Film Festival as of yet, but this is the first film that we are seeing in a long line of films that we will hopefully see over the 10 days. I'm hopefully
freaking out a
We'll
little
we'll
bit
see
about
stuff.
this whole.
we're
Gotta
likewise.
get the
I'm
tickets.
everything. We haven't even gotten our tickets yet. So there's a lot to see, but we will have coverage for you. We will have things to talk about. So just be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And hey, if you want to write into us, let us know your thoughts on this film or any of the movies or TV shows that we're covering. Well, you can reach out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on Twitter at geekcentricyt or on Instagram and TikTok at wearegeekcentric. Keep in mind, we have a ton of other great episodes for you to enjoy right now, like our spoiler-free reviews for DC Studios' Peacemaker Season 2, Episodes 1 to 5, which is out now, our spoiler-free review for Neza 2, and our spoiler-free review for Freakier Friday, and our spoiler-free review for the FX series Alien Earth, Episodes 1 to 6. All available for you now on podcast feeds. And hey, we were busy last weekend doing some geeky stuff at Fan Expo. And if you want to hear all about what we got up to on that weekend, well, you can do so by listening to our This Week in Geek episode, which is out now on podcast feeds. We also got interviews for you on podcast feeds and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric. We have our interviews with Alien Earth stars Sydney Chandler and Alex Lothar, as well as our interview with Alden Ehrenreich from Weapons, and so many more to come. We are working to try to get some interviews for this film. So say a prayer, cross your fingers. Let's hope that it can happen. Elevation Pictures, if you're listening to this, we would love to
Get
talk
the
to
whiteboard
Matt
out,
Johnson.
Justin.
Yeah,
Okay,
dude,
let's start.
I'm
we'll
already
start
devising
hatching
a scheme and a plan
So,
to
because
make it all happen.
I think we could find them. I think Matt Johnson and Jay are probably nearby somewhere.
They'd probably appreciate the improvised approach to the interview, but that said, we would love to have a formal discussion. So, we're working on hopefully getting them on this show, and we're hoping we can get some interviews while we're at TIFF. We do have some interviews, surprisingly, associated with other projects that aren't with TIFF that are going to be coming very soon. So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to us on podcast feeds and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric. Other than that, like I said, TIFF is around the corner. Get ready, guys. We got shit to do. So we got a lot to figure this all out. So yeah, let's go. All right, guys. Until next time, as we say,
Love ya.
Laters.
Peace.